Welcome back into MizzouCentral's coverage of the NFL Scouting Combine. I'm Joey Van Zummeren, and I'm joined by Quentin Corpuel to cover this whole week in Indianapolis. So today we had the chance to talk to defensive line, edge, and linebacker prospects, and they will be working out tomorrow. So that means we heard today from Mizzou inside linebacker Tyron Hopper, along with defensive end Darius Robinson. Both great speakers, especially Darius Robinson. Quentin, what was your main takeaway from hearing Darius talk today?
Yeah, no, it's always a treat talking to Darius Robinson. When he walked up on the podium, you saw myself, Chris Kwasinski, who currently works in Chicago, but was on the Mizzou beat for a really long time, and Jack Sobel, who is currently on the Notre Dame beat, who was also a Mizzou grad. And you recognize the three of us, and he went, "What's up, Mizzou crew?" And I was like, Darius, I missed you so much. It's good to see you. I didn't actually say that. That's what I thought. But no, it was great hearing him talk. He was on the podium for I think 20 minutes, but he gave a lot of insight on his journey for people that weren't as familiar as us who hadn't been covering him for a really long time on his journey to getting to where he is now. And he said a lot of interesting things. I thought something that was particularly interesting was after his Senior Bowl performance, where he shot up draft boards after that week. He basically said, "Yeah, no, it definitely helped, but I was the same player there as I was the entire 2023 season at Mizzou, so it shouldn't have been that surprising." So I thought that was pretty interesting. But he talked a lot about how versatile he was. I would expect when he meets with NFL teams, that's going to be one of the main things he brings up is that he can play everywhere on the defensive line, and that's kind of what he did in Mizzou. He started on the interior, and then prior to the 2023 season, he picked outside and was awesome. He dominated in the SEC, and he dominated at the Senior Bowl, and I wouldn't really expect anything last year at the Combine.
Yes. Yeah, with Darius, I mean, he talked a lot about his versatility, like you mentioned. I thought it was interesting. He mentioned kind of the difference between playing on the inside versus the outside, and he mentioned specifically the timing. On the inside, you have to be, snap of the finger. As soon as the ball is snapped, you have to be set into and decided on whatever move you're going to try to get past that offensive guard or center. But on when you're on the edge, you kind of have more time. I mean, still not a lot less than a second, but a little bit more flexibility as far as what move to use in your arsenal. So great to talk to Darius today. With Tyron Hopper, this is going to be a big week for him because unlike Darius, he did not have that opportunity at the Senior Bowl. He did receive an invite, but had to miss it due to an ankle sprain. He said today that he is fully recovered from that injury, which he suffered in the late season game against Tennessee. That caused him to miss the rest of the season. But he said today that he is fully recovered from that, which is great news for him. And so I think this is going to be a big week for Tyron to prove just his athleticism, which is one of the things he mentioned as his strengths today. He mentioned his athleticism and his speed. And with the combine, that's definitely one thing you can show with all of the numbers and data collection going on. And less so than football IQ maybe, but that would I would guess be more so in the team interviews. He mentioned also that the things that he wants to improve on being his eye discipline and taking more consistent angles, which tracks from what we saw from him in 2023, kind of the areas where he struggled. And I would definitely say for a pro linebacker need to be more sure on those than he was the past season, but should be an exciting week for Tyron and for him to kind of have the scouts get a first look at him since the season ended. Especially because I know the most scouts that were ever at a Mizzou game this season, I believe, was that game against Florida, which Tyron missed. So this would be a great opportunity for Tyron and then for Darius to get to prove that the Senior Bowl was not a fluke. So I think that's all we got for you. Anything else to add, Quentin?
Oh, I'm looking forward to, I believe tomorrow we are talking to Chris Abrams-Train and Ennis Rakestraw and Jalen Carlos.
Yes.
So we will be talking to them three tomorrow. And then later in the week, we will be talking to Cody Schrader, Javon Foster, and Harrison Mevis. I'm not missing anybody, am I?
I don't think so.
All right. So yeah, that's 8 guys at the combine for Mizzou, most they've ever had, I believe. So we were talking earlier with some other people. We think this is very indicative of the massive leap forward that Mizzou took in 2023, not just from a record standpoint, but from a developmental standpoint. Because I mean, Tyron Hopper said today, I thought it was interesting how he was like, yeah, Mizzou, we feel like currently feel like, even though he's not a part of the team anymore, that they've been disrespected in terms of being an SEC team. That's obviously been a running joke for lots of years, but he said this year was a pretty monumental leap forward in the development department to have 8 Mizzou Tigers here at the combine, most of which will probably get drafted.
Mhm.
And if not, I would expect somebody like Harrison Beavis, or if Cody Schrader doesn't get drafted, I would expect them to find an NFL home somewhere, whether that's on an active roster or a practice roster as a UDFA. So looking forward to later this week.
Mhm.
It's been a good time so far.
Sure. So we'll, like Quentin said, we'll be talking to these prospects throughout the next few days. So make sure to stay tuned to our coverage here on Mizzou Central for all of that. And we thank you for tuning into this.